drive. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl!
Welcome to Patriots Touchback Podcast.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome on to another edition of the Patriots Touchback Podcast. It's me, your host, Karl. I am back on hosting duties after my lackluster performance last week. Joining me tonight is, of course, Mr. Nick Cosgrove, DJ and Nick. DJ and Luke can't make it with us tonight. But first thing first, I wish all you hope you had a very Merry Christmas. We both certainly did. And we got a very, very nice surprise when we woke up on Christmas morning, because the scoreline at the bottom is not a misprint. Yes, we won 26-23 to the Denver Broncos, and we are going to go through that and dissect every ounce of that game, because there is a lot to break down in this one. I'll hand the floor to Nick, though. Nick, good to see you, sir. Hope you had a very good Christmas, and nice little treat to wake up on Christmas morning for us. So, cheers.
Yes. I guess whether you're happy with the result, it depends on whether you're, as your hashtag says, embracing the tank or not. Judging from what I've read, there's a lot of Patriots fans that aren't happy because, you know, it's not helping the long game, if you like, and now that Washington and Arizona have jumped us in the draft order. But, you know, ultimately, you want to see your team win, don't you? I mean, the players are trying. You know, no player sets out not to win. So the players are doing their best, and I think, you know, like with the Steelers result, I think just that win is allowing the morale to stay there, and you know. So yes, it was I started watching it and fell asleep, and then woke up, and then fell asleep again, and so. I wasn't going to watch the whole game again, but I watched the highlights, and yeah, I think it was nice to see another win.
It was nice to see another win. Now, I can understand where a lot of people are coming from when they don't want, they don't want us to win because of our position in the draft and this, that, and the other. And someone really took shot on social media by basically saying that if you are cheering for this team to lose and you have a loser's mentality, I was like, that's partly true, but on the flip side, you also have to look at the reality of the situation. Are we making the playoffs? No. Are you winning the division? No. Are we getting a wild card? No, we're not. So what is the point in winning games and going, I don't know, 6-11, 7-10, just to be put in purgatory, mediocrity? That will set your franchise back another 2-3 years. As I've stated already, it's best to just rip the Band-Aid off and let the wound heal itself. And we've said that for time and time again on this channel this season.
Yeah, I think that's where the structure's wrong with the way the NFL's designed. Obviously, it's designed to try and keep everyone's at 500, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And you know, this thing of as soon as you're in, not the worst team gets the first pick, and so often that essentially is the problem, because you create that will to do worse than you probably are. And it only takes one more win, and the Patriots could be at 6 or 7 drafting. So I actually like the fact that the NFL try and have all the teams at 500, but the problem is the way that they're going about it when a team is not qualifying and made the playoffs. You're then encouraging them to sort of not do their best. Players will always do their best, but there's a big difference between putting your starters out and putting your third stringers out. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you cure the problem. Essentially, I mean, I start a question with you. Do you believe that this win has done more harm than good?
Regarding of our draft stock, I would probably say yes. because we're now out of the top 3 picks. We're now sitting with the 4th overall pick. So if you look at it in hindsight, Drake May, Khalid Williams, and Marvin Harrison Jr. have all gone off the board. It could have been a lot worse.
In the whole aspect of the situation, you can narrow it down and say draft wise, yeah, it doesn't help, but as a whole generalization, it's good or bad.
It just shows you that the team is still playing for Belichick. It shows you that if you saw the video footage in the locker room after we beat Denver, you could just tell every single one of those players, they were playing, not just playing for the head coach, they were playing for the badge. If you play for the badge, then you're worthy you're playing for this team. And for me, look, we've said maybe Belichick needs to go, this, that, and the other. There may be something on the lines of Belichick may just give up his GM duties. If he does that, then I think then that would be the best of both worlds. He steps down as GM, so he could just continue to coach. You bring up, if you think Brian could do better with this offensive stuff, which he's been doing with Bailey Zappe, he's actually been looking better. It's not the be all and end all. Because I think someone posted something on Twitter, I think a couple of days ago, and that was New England have lost 7 games where they've lost by a touchdown or less. And someone said they're not a million miles away. That is true. I'm not going to say we're not a million miles away. Defensively, we're one of the best in the league by a country mile. Offensively, we are still one of the worst. But can our offensive line be better? Sure. Do we need more weapons on the perimeter? Yes, we do. It is an offensive job that needs to happen in the offseason, in free agency, and in the draft as well. But you have to, as I said, the whole point of Belichick, if he does stay, we need to find out what his position will be as GM. If he does stay as GM, I think we're buggered. But if he leaves, then you've got to find some compensation for him. No way you could just release him. No way you're going to fire. I personally think New England are not going to fire Belichick. Despite the fact how much of a bad season we've had, I don't think they're going to fire Belichick. He's either going to resign and go his own way, which is not out the realm of possibility, or there's possibility of a trade. Would someone give up a first-round pick to go and take on a coach that has been as a 6-time Super Bowl winning head coach and a 3-time defensive coordinator? Is someone going to take on that? He's got 8 or 9 rings. I'm not quite 100% sure. I know we got 2 from the Giants. Might be 3. I could be wrong, but anyway. I just think personally, where it's situated, does it hurt our draft stock? It does to a certain degree. It could have, but a lot of results could have gone a lot worse our way. Washington obviously got scalped. Arizona lost again. Carolina lost again, which is predictable. And Carolina, I mean, it's the Bears pick. They could do whatever the hell they want with that pick. They could swap picks, trade out, do whatever they want with it. So if you look at the positions we are, we'll talk a little bit on the game in about a few minutes' time. But with the draft as a position we stand, if the Bears stay at first, they're going to probably take Marvin Harrison. And the reason why I think someone will give up a second-round pick. I want to ask you a question. If we don't get Khalid Williams or a Drake May, and I know Jaden Daniels is on the board, but I'm very skeptical of it. I know we see one quarterback come out of LSU and do amazingly well. But if you decided to go a different route, would you give up your second rounder, so it'll be 36th overall, to the Bears and get Justin Fields? Would he work under this type of offense? Is the offensive line better than the Bears? I would probably say only just, not by much. But I think we've got some more sturdy components than what the Bears have. And okay, weapons nowhere near as good. Nowhere near as good. But could he work under this offense? If we decide to go that route, there's so many different ways we could skin a cat in this draft.
To answer your question, a little bit of fence sitting, to be fair. Would I give up a second rounder for Fields? No. Would I give up a third rounder for Fields? Maybe. So I think a second rounder is too rich for Fields, but I'm not against trading for him. If you get my point. Now, if the question had been, would I give up a second rounder for Baker Mayfield? That'd be a very different answer, because I would have Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Luke on here, he's just popped on there saying Baker Mayfield is a free agent. If
Baker
he gets,
Mayfield's free agent.
I tell you this a fact right now, Luke. If Baker Mayfield, I think the Bucks are going to win the worst division in the NFL. But if he goes and beats Dallas, because if you look at it in hindsight, Dallas is obviously the first wild card, and I don't think the Eagles are relinquishing the NFC East anytime soon. So if the Buccaneers cause a humongous shock and beat the Cowboys, Baker Mayfield gets a contract. He gets a contract at the Bucks. One wild card win. That's all he needs to elevate himself. And since he's gone to the Buccaneers, he's done really, really well. And you've also put Russell Wilson might be available too. I do not want Russ. He is the Patriots quarterback. No. He's been. Well, we're going to get to the game in a minute. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about Rusty as well while we're at it. But we'll talk a little more on draft stock in the next few weeks' time. We have our end of season review and we see where we are. But for now, let's have a little bit of fun, shall we? So, Patriots 26, Broncos 23. A fun game after watching the condensed game. Bailey Zappe finally played his most consistent game. 256 yards, 25 of 33 passes, 2 touchdowns, no picks, no fumbles. Clean, solid game. And I like some of the throws that he made to implement himself. Mac Jones does not move around in the pocket, or rather, he doesn't know how to move around in the pocket. Quite a few times I saw Bailey Zappe, when he sees the pocket collapsing, mainly on the left-hand side because it's completely shot to pieces. He was scrambling again out of the pocket and trying to extend plays, which is what sort of like the modern NFL is nowadays. If the pocket's collapsing, you could scramble and make a throw on the run and get a ball out into someone's hands and get a first down, then you're in a good position there. Zappe made some very, very good throws. He made a couple of dodgy ones and put into double coverage. Luckily, one was caught, the other one was batted away. As far as I'm concerned with Zappe, he is competing to win something. and that something is the backup. And we spoke about this last week, didn't we? Is he good enough to be a bridge quarterback? And personally, I think if he's decent enough to be a bridge, then I think you should keep hold of it, because he's on a rookie contract. He's going to cost pennies on the dollar. You know, I think we're going to end up releasing Mac Jones in the offseason, because I think he's done. He's done in New England now. So then it comes down to, do you go Zappe as the bridge, or do you just use it as just a proper certified backup for when, say, you draft Jaden Daniels, for example, you draft Michael Penix, or you draft JJ McCarthy. You know, is he good enough to be a bridge to start for the new season, or do you reckon he's just going to be a second stringer and that's it? Luke's already put on here, I'd keep Zappe as a backup. That's what Luke said.
I kind of agree with Luke, to be fair. I don't think Zappe is good enough to be that bridge. I think there are better bridge quarterbacks out there. Excuse me. Justin Fields, Ryan Tannehill. They are two that you could possibly say are in a better position. Do I think Zappe could be a backup? Yes, I do. Would I be happy with him being the Patriots backup? Yes, I would. I looked at Zappe's performance this week and I summed it up with 3 words: showing more improvement. He is continuing to show improvement. And essentially, that's what I said on the podcast last week or the week before, that what you are seeing from Zappe, the more game time he gets, is a slow, steady upshift in performance. It's not going to be massive leaps. He's not built like that. He's a playmaker. He's a gunslinger, if you like. He's more of a gunslinger than Mac was. He's a playmaker.
He's certainly got a bigger arm on him.
Yeah, he's got more. He's got more ability to move around in the pocket. How many times did we say when we were watching in Frankfurt or just everyone watching at home, Mac Jones is waiting for someone to get open, and no one did, and he couldn't extend the play long enough for someone to get open. Seems to be
that was the one deficiency in that draft class. Trevor Lawrence can run to throw the ball. Justin Fields can run to throw the ball. Zach Wilson, despite how shit he is, he can do it really, really well. And then you got Trey Lance, who can do it, but never got really the chance in San Francisco. Now he's a backup to Dallas. Now he's back up at the Cowboys. Mac Jones was the only pure pocket passer, but they were so reliant on his accuracy. The problem is, though, if your receivers can't get open, accuracy means jack. You've got to get that ball out. One thing I was impressed over Zappe, though, I like his passing and his throwing ability, and he got the 2 touchdowns. Great. I was very, very happy with that. It was his decision-making when he knew he was under duress. So when that pocket collapses, he's running off to his right or his left. If he doesn't see anybody open, instead of trying to extend the play to make something happen, throw the ball away, live to fight another down. Well done. Incredibly smart thinking there from Zappe. That was something that he lacked when he started playing a little bit last year. He wanted to just continue to play, and it just led into a fumble, just led to an interception and so on. But the fact he let that ball go to live another day, even if it ended up being a 3 and out, you could at least turn around and say, well, none of the receivers got open, and he had to kill the down. So that was a smart move. It comes with time.
Comes with experience, comes with more experience on the pitch, playing down after down. So was he perfect? No, far from it. There was some bad, like you said, there were some errors. Oh, don't throw that. Oh, you got away with that. Oh, don't throw that. There were times when he made the wrong decision, but you expect that from effectively a rookie. But ultimately, he is producing more than Mac was, and that means I'm happy for him to continue doing that. So, I don't know. I mean, there was pride, there was fight from all the team. There was pride, there was fight, there was the resilience in the team. I mean, watching when, they gave the ball away in their first possession inside their own 10 yards, and then the defense won it straight back. It's that the Patriots are going into every game with that like do or die attitude, that mentally tough sort of never give up, never give in, and I think that's serving the team as a whole well, in that they are just doing their ultimate best. I mean, the O-line is terrible, but ultimately they are all trying their best. And that's essentially why you're getting a win at Denver towards the back end of the season, when a win doesn't really help you in the draft status, but you're getting that win because there's that determination, because there's that pride amongst the locker room for the players to fight for every inch on the field. And that's all you can ask for.
It is all you can ask for. Let's have a little conversation about special teams, because this has been a thorn in our ass pretty much all season long. It's just been shocking. Giving up far too many yards on the kickoff or punt return, bad coverage, no blocking on field goals, just terrible. Let's start off with our designated rookie kicker, shall we? So this season, he has completed 15 of 23 field goals, so now just 65.2%, which is basically sackable territory, shall we say, as a kicker, because you can't do that. Why can't Chad Ryland be consistent? Because in that game, he had 3 field goal attempts. 1 he converted, which was grand. The other one, he had a 47-yarder, blew it wide right. And then we had our second touchdown. I think it was the defensive touchdown. He kicked the PAT and he doinked the post to such an extent. I heard my freaking windows shaking here. I was like, your job is to kick the ball through the flipping uprights. It's not a hard job. We're not asking you to be Adam Vinatieri or Steve Gostkowski. We're asking you to be consistent, man. I mean, in the final drive, which Zappe did really, really well with that final drive, because that final drive was basically 2 running plays. Like, you're going to run this in for overtime, aren't you? You swear to God that. And then Denver decided to use a timeout, which I found quite weird. And Belichick has obviously gone to Zappe over the sideline. And he said, "Do you reckon you can get this?" And he's like, "I know I can." So on the 3rd down play, we're all thinking, right, here we go. They're probably going to run out the gut, bleed the clock, we go to OT. Nope. Nope. A deep ball to Devontae Parker. And there's your 1st down. And then New England, they got 2 more passing yards. They were just out of field goal range. It was a 56-yarder. And let's put it this way. You and me both know we would have put our mortgages on the line that Chad Ryland was going to fucking whiff this. Because if you can't kick a straightforward 35-yarder, how the hell are you going to boot in a 56? And lo and behold, not only did he get it in, he put it straight down the freaking middle. This is what I'm talking about. Lack of consistency with our special teams. Well done to our special teams for getting the fumble, which it was basically Denver's own incompetence that started it off anyway, but you've got to finish it off. But they finished off their dinner in that circumstance. But finally, clutch situation. Bailey Zappe has now actually had his first ever 4th quarter, final drive, clutch winning situation. It took Mac Jones well over 2 seasons. It took him... What is this now? It's like 4th or 5th game starting in his entire career? Could I be wrong about that?
He started a couple of games last year, didn't he?
He started against... He came in against Green Bay. He started against Cleveland. And I think the last game he played the Bears. Oh, no, hang on. No, Mac Jones was in for the Bears. I think he started... So, yeah, I think Bailey Zappe has had basically 4 or 5 starts. About 4 or 5 starts. And he's, form 1, I believe? Something along those lines. So, it's bizarre. It's really strange, really bizarre.
I get the inconsistency. I go back to that word of resilience. You know, if you miss the point after, you miss the point after touchdown, and you miss a couple of field goals, and yet he's still got the confidence to kick a 56-yarder. I think there must be something. I don't know. I'm speculating here, but it must be something. Yes, apologies, distracted. It must be something to do with his confidence levels and just the pressure of the in-game experience. Because surely he's there at training, at practice, and he's kicking them through the post. Because if he wasn't doing it at practice, he wouldn't get selected. If he can't do the job, he wouldn't be getting selected. So surely he's there at practicing, nailing. I'm not saying he's nailing kick after kick, but he must be putting, regular kicks through the upright in practice. And maybe it's just one of these in-game things where as a rookie, he's still a bit sort of affected by the crowd. Affected by the crowd, affected by the scenario and the situation. And I don't know, maybe his mistakes will disappear again. Like we talk about Zappe not being perfect and making mistakes as well, but that'll come with experience. Maybe Chad Ryland will, he'll improve with more time, because I don't think he can't be the world's worst kicker. It must be something to do with converting it from practice to game situation. I don't, I've never seen them in training put the big speakers at the back of the post and blare out huge boos and Ryland, you crap, and all those. I don't think in practice they make the in-game. Going to our football penalties. Players always talk about, do you practice penalties at training? Nah, can't replicate the scenario, so why bother? I know where I'm going to put it. And some players do and some players don't. And I think maybe that is Ryland's problem in converting his practice to game scenario.
You would think, though, that if he is struggling, maybe he is a rookie after all. It might be down to nerves. It might be down to being in a different hostile environment. But he has missed field goals at home. And usually when you're the home team and you go for a field goal, the stadium goes deadly quiet because they are trying to give the kicker as much time and be patient. It's when you're on the road and you get a field goal and you've got the 12th man on your back, that's when you need to be a little more composed. I wouldn't mind that if you were missing field goals away from home, because you can understand that the 12th man does play a huge advantage. But when you miss kicks at home, I don't buy by that, unfortunately. But he is a rookie at the end of the day. He might come good next year. He may end up having a Justin Tucker type of season next year. We don't know. A lot of people said, well, we should have kept hold of Nick Folk. Do you reckon Nick Folk would have made that 56-yarder? No. Right. So, I'm not trying to detach our great kicker, who's now at Tennessee, but always been knocking in between 30 and 50 yarders. You should be doing them in their sleep. It's when you get to the big crunch ones. But what's the put? You can replicate the technique and how many steps you take before you kick it. Yeah, that's really all you can do. But it's down to noise at the end of the day.
Question for you then: if Ryland was that bad, why did the Patriots? If Ryland is as bad as he could be, why do the Patriots not go for 2 every time? Take for example, after you've converted a touchdown, why are the Patriots not going for 2 every time if they don't have confidence in Ryland?
I'll probably say 2 things. One, analytics, and the second one, I don't think Belichick, that's not in his wheelhouse to do that sort of thing. Unless you're down by multiple scores, then you have to go for 2. But I don't think that's in his wheelhouse to do that. So
yeah, but I'm just saying, if you had no confidence in your kicker at all, and you thought, oh God, what's the point in putting him on? He's going to miss a kick and I'm not going to get any points. The difference between not getting any points from a kick and not getting any points from a 2-point conversion, it's negligible. Analytics, I don't think, when it comes to confidence in your, and that's why I think he does have the confidence of the coaches. He does have the confidence of his teammates. I think they all believe in him. I think it's just a confidence issue in himself. It must be. I can't put it down to anything else.
It probably is down to a confidence issue. But well done to him. He kicked the game-winning field goal. Let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball. And we're going to first start off with, this guy is having a ridiculous season since he's come back. And that's Christian Barmore. 3 sacks on the game. Rusty was getting absolutely pulverized by the rookie from Alabama.
That's his first 3-sack game of his career. Not to mention 8 tackles and 1 forced fumble on top of that. He was my man of the match, if you like. Just before we get deep into the defense, because I did make 1 point I wanted to say. Demario Douglas, 5 catches for 74 yards and not
constantly getting open. Constantly,
not one of them
open.
Was for less than 15 yards. He was, he had on the offensive side of the ball, he had a great game, and he is now stat of the week. He is now 2 yards short of Aaron Dobson's record for the most receiving yards by a rookie in the Bill Belichick era.
He's going to overtake. He's going to overtake that when we play Buffalo this coming weekend. So, but he's our number 1 receiver now. But can I just give you a foreshadowing here? Just imagine him alongside Jacoby Myers.
Why is he going to Las Vegas?
No. It just if we'd have decided to pay
That's very
Jacoby,
true.
we
Yes.
decided to keep
Rather
Jacoby
than Juju.
and not pay for Juju Bum Smith-Schuster because I don't rate him at all. Can you imagine how much production we could have got out of him? And before people get on my case, it goes, there's no way Mac Jones is going to throw fricking the ball. Mac Jones is going to throw the ball to bloody Jacoby Myers and get those sorts of yardage. How do you reckon Jimmy Garoppolo has managed to do it? How do you reckon Aiden O'Connell?
For weeks.
I know, but how do you reckon he's done it? How do you reckon Aiden O'Connell, of all players,
I know.
have been able to do it? So just imagine those two.
Back.
And then you could just use Devontae Parker as your X receiver. Parker, Douglas, Myers. That's 3 receivers I'll be happy to rely on. It won't win us a Super Bowl, but that's a nice foundation to build off.
Yes. No, moving back to the defense, I just wanted to salute Douglas for a good game. I thought Barmore was man of match, absolutely outstanding. And while the defense has kept us in every single game this year, he has been, and I did say this on the pod the other week, he has been the brightest light in the darkest room. He has been absolutely amazing. A steal in the second round when we drafted him.
Absolutely. Couple other mentions as well. So Matt Wilson got a sack as well. Keon White had a pass breakup and was just constantly in the face of Russell Wilson pretty much most of the game anyway. Marty Mapu was the one who made the special teams play that got us the touchdown. Why is this guy not playing for linebacker in the defense? I do not know. He's a 3rd round pick. He's a very good special teamer. But come on, we are needing some inside linebacker help. And Marty Mapu is just that guy. And he needs to start playing. 2 corners I'm going to mention, okay? Sean Wade had a good game. 3 tackles. Really, really good game. And also, he is the blood in my urine, but Miles Bryant even he had a good game, which was really surprising. Tavai had a good game as well. Duggar had solid. Look, the defense overall, yes, did we give up 2 straight touchdown drives? We did. That sucked a little bit. But I think that was only because in the 3rd quarter, after we had our blast of around them in the 3rd quarter, we were starting to get a lot of 3 and outs. And I was hoping the defense could hold on to them at the time. But Russell Wilson managed to find those big plays. He had roughly about the same sort of stats as Zappe as well. So 25 of 37, 238, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had roughly the same sort of stats as Zappe did. So not exactly the not exactly something to write home about. But our running backs, running game was not good in this game. That's mainly to do with the offensive line not doing their job. But Broncos run defense is pretty good anyway. Ezekiel Elliott, 12 carries for 27 yards. Kelvin Harris, 7 carries, 21 yards. Thornton tried to do a jet sweep for 9 yards. I think that got us a first down on one of the drives. Not quite 100% sure. And Zappe rushed for 2 yards as well. But that was just a quarterback scramble and so on. But
I think Mapu could well be Uche's replacement next year, especially if Uche doesn't get a new deal or doesn't choose not to sign a deal.
Yeah, but Uche's edge isn't Uche an edge or a line?
Well,
I thought Uche was an edge.
Yeah, but he is. But I think Mapu can do that job. I think he's played edge a couple of times. I think he's just like one of these that's changing for the one of these rookies where he's learning a different position, learning a position one game and then plays a different position. But he again is another rookie who is, being noticed by his consistent performances, regardless of where he's being asked to play. But I do agree with you; he should be seeing more game action, if you like, more game time. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players that are going to leave that Patriots team. So, I think there's big changes coming. So it's hard to say, well, he's going to stay, he's not, but yeah. There's not many rookies essentially that are not putting the effort in, if you like. I'm not suggesting that anyone wouldn't put the effort in, but when you look at the rookies, you don't expect them to be, apart from Gonzalez, who was setting that, and Barmo's a second year, but Gonzalez came in and was constantly performing at our number one level. There's not many rookies you come in and see them absolutely smash it. So he's being consistent enough and being noticed that his performances are obviously being high enough grade to keep getting more and more chances, which is all you can ask for, I guess.
Yeah, it is all you can ask for, which it is good to see. But it has hampered our draft position a little bit. We've now dropped from the 2nd overall pick to the 4th overall pick. There is the quarterback out of LSU, Jaden Daniels, could still be there for the take. This is the thing. You try and do mock drafts of who you think is going to go, and come my draft day, it ends up being something completely different. Jaden Daniels may go 2nd overall, and Drake may be the one to drop. It's going to be one of those.
Until free agency's been done, it's impossible to do a mock draft properly because free agency changes everything. So what's the point in doing one before that? I don't even think about doing one before then. This week, as we enter week 17, Carolina. I know Bears have got Carolina's pick, but the Carolina have got the Jags. Arizona have got the Eagles. Washington have got the 49ers. We've got the Bills. The Giants, who are one game back behind us, have got the Rams. And the Chargers, who are also one game back, have got the Broncos. Everyone who's in the top 7 could effectively lose this week. And then it all comes down to the last week, and we've got the Jets. We are the only team that's got a decent possible chance to win. Because in week 18, Carolina have got the Bucks, Arizona have got the Seahawks, Washington have got the Cowboys, Giants have got the Eagles, and the Chargers have got the Chiefs. If everyone loses up until next week, and then we beat the Jets and everyone loses, we could drop to 7.
Yeah, but I think the Chargers will lose that game against the Chiefs anyway because they've got the equivalent of the stick from Hey Dougie at quarterback. So. If you know the reference, you know what I'm talking about.
You're a Hey Dougie fan now? Are you a Hey Dougie watcher?
It's on every morning.
We all know someone with a young child, don't we?
I know.
I've gone through Peppa Pig. I'm at Bluey now. I get Bluey now. I've done me Peppa Pig and me Hey Dougie. I've done all that. I'm into Bluey now. So
okay,
I've rocked up a bit. Yeah, Bluey's good. You'll love your Bluey. You'll love your Bluey years.
Yeah, we'll see. So it does put us under the. It does. If we say to do the draft stock now, if you look at the draft, so you say Khalid Williams probably gone, Drake Mayer probably gone, Marvin Harrison definitely gone by then. It leaves you with a bit of a dilemma now because you either go with you could take Jaden Daniels. Michael Penix, possibly, out of Washington. Or do you go for the quarterback that it just stinks like he could come to New England, and that is JJ McCarthy. And I said this about a month or so ago with JJ McCarthy. What he's doing for Michigan is brilliant, but he's being covered by the defense and the running game. I'm still waiting to see him take the ball game by the scruff of the neck and actually win it on his own. And I haven't seen that yet. And I just think if he does come to New England, then he's just going to be, it might work. It might work. But the only way I could see that happening is if Michigan do go on and win the championship. If they do, I might be a little bit more interested then because they have a quarterback that's just won them the championship. But you're looking at the position right now.
Bowers.
Too high.
Could trade down.
But why though? Unless you're going... Look, I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to come out of the first round, and I certainly don't think Michael Penix is going to come out of the first round, despite the fact he does have a bit of an injury history. I don't think he'll go out. There's going to be about 4, maybe 5 quarterbacks that's going to go in the first round. And I think the only one of it's going to be left standing is going to be JJ McCarthy. Out of that tier, JJ McCarthy is going to be the only one left standing.
If there's no Williams, there's no Drake May, there's no Marvin Harrison Jr., why not drop down a couple of picks and take Bowers? He is by far and away the best tight end in the draft. Look, the tackle position is stocked. You can get some good tackles in round 2. So why not drop back for a couple of round 2 picks, pick up your tackles in round 2 and pick up Bowers. If you're talking about taking a bridge QB to last a year, get some positions that you need. Get some, get a wide receiver, get a massive tight end. I've for weeks I've been like, well, maybe we can, from 2 we can trade down to. Sorry, I got distracted. Thank you, Luke. Yes. If we could, for weeks I was like, well, if we can trade from 2 to 3 and pick up an extra 1, and then maybe trade from 3 to 4 and play Washington off against Arizona, you might be able to pick up some more stuff. And I was thinking trade down to about 5, 6 with massive capital, but we seem to be moving down ourselves without any capital. So, but I wouldn't say no to Bowers. I'm not saying we should draft him in the top 5, but I wouldn't say no to him.
I wouldn't say no to Bowers, but who are you aligned at quarterback then? Do you think that you're going to stick with Zappe? Do you think we're going to get someone in free agency? Because it's always say, yeah, we could go, if we drop down, we could maybe get 2 picks in the first. We could maybe get a high-end tackle and maybe a Brock Bowers or maybe another wide receiver. But then you're still left at the QB position. If the Buccaneers,
so I go back to what I said earlier.
Because if you look at the
third rounder for Fields,
I don't think the Bears will trade the 3rd. They'd want a 2nd for him. They would want a 2nd for Fields. Unless we traded them 2 3rds, which is this year's 3rd and next year's 3rd rounder.
Maybe.
Then that I could probably just about stomach. I think Fields got put into a really, really bad position there. Luke's put inexperienced young quarterbacks like Zappe do like a good tight end to target. Well, Gesicki obviously was replacing Hunter Henry in the game against Denver, and he only had 2 catches, 15 yards. But what have we said? Him and Hunter Henry are red zone targets. Back of the end zone. Good throw as well from Zappe, though, collapsing the pocket and actually keeping it all open in that. But I mean, it's all ifs, buts, and maybes where we are right now. So we're going to shut the book on this for the time being because we'll just get a headache over it, and we'll probably just have one episode where we're dissecting every bit of the draft and working out. I tell you what, we'll do a little bit of a fun game. So in the weeks leading up to the draft, all 4 of us will be put under the spotlight, and we'll have our own mock draft, one at a time each week, to see what we do. And this is after free agency. Once free agency's been and gone, so we'll start it off like the 3rd week of March, something along those lines, and then we'll build it up from there. And then we'll come as a collective together to see where we end up going from there. Let's have a quick preview, shall we? So our next game is on the road. It is against the Buffalo Bills. We beat Buffalo, shockingly, in the first fixture, 29-25. Mac Jones actually performed very well in that game. We're not going to see Mac Jones. We're going to see Bailey Zappe, obviously. Buffalo, they are still sitting in a very, very good position right now. They are in a wild card. They are on a roll right now. They're in a wild card spot. But they know for a fact they're going to want blood. They're going to want revenge after what happened in the game in Foxborough. So I think we could be in for a slaughter, but it all depends. I mean, if you keep I've always said, if you keep Josh Allen in the pocket and don't let him scramble and run, he does become very one-dimensional. And yeah, so what do you reckon on this tape for the Bills game then? Because for me, I think we're going to get absolutely roasted. But it would not at all surprise me the way we've played over the last couple of games, throwing a little bit of fight, that we can maybe steal it here. I mean, I don't want to steal the win, obviously, because that would really kill our draft stock then.
I don't think we're going to win. I don't think we're going to win. I don't think we're going to get absolutely blown out like we did the other year. I don't think it's going to be one of those. I think you're probably going to see a competitive game. I don't think it'll be a low scoring. I think the Patriots are going to have to put points on the board. I foresee maybe something like 24-17, 27-20, something like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 24-17, 24-20, something like that. I think the Bills are on such a run that the Dolphins have already clinched the division. The Bills want to get in that.
Not quite. No. You're wrong. You're wrong on that. No, because if the Dolphins lose to Baltimore and Buffalo beats New England, which they probably will do anyway, Week 18, Miami at Buffalo for the division title. The Dolphins haven't locked up the division just yet. If they beat Baltimore this week, it's game over.
That still proves my point. That the Bills are going to want to win. I was going with chasing a playoff spot, but yeah, if they want to win the division, they still got to go for it. So, they are not going to go take it easy, and for whatever chance, let's say they don't get the division, and they do end up as a playoff, you're going to want that position number 5 so that you avoid having to go to Arrowhead. And at least you get the Jags, go into the Jags then. So there is a lot for the Bills to play for. And I just can't see the Patriots having enough to stop them.
Oh, sorry, Luke's actually corrected me there. It's Buffalo at Miami, not the other way around. So I apologize for that. So as a currently stand, so the Bills 2 games back behind the Dolphins. If Dolphins win against Baltimore, it's game over. They win the AFC East. Buffalo will be going for a wild card. That's not the problem, though. We do have an opportunity to beat Buffalo here. I don't think we will. I do echo the same sort of scoreline as what you said, but I'm going to go on the region of something like, 28-20, something along those lines in that game. We need to be much better than we were against the Stickmen.
So, he's an AEW fan as well.
He's an AEW fan, yeah, absolutely. Which I've got no problem with. Right, so as you said, if we look down the division, the Jets next week on the final game of the regular season, that could potentially be the final win for us, because their quarterbacks, I don't know whoever you put a quarterback, it's not good enough. Defensively, they are very, very good. And that's what worries me when Zappe will go up against a really good elite defense. So we've both gone for a Bills win on this one. A little bit.
I was just looking. The Bills are 1 game back behind the Browns, who are in 5th. So the Browns are currently going to Jacksonville, and the Bills are currently going to Arrowhead. But if the Bills can overtake 1 game on the Browns, then they will go to the Jags and the Browns will go to Arrowhead. But like you said, if the Bills can make those 2 games up on the Dolphins, then they'll win the division anyway. So for me, there's just far too much for the Bills to play for to even consider the Patriots winning. And I think Patriots will put in the effort, they'll put in the pride, they'll put in the fight that we've been talking about. But I think they're not. I don't think they're going to win.
No, I don't think we're going to win either. I think it's going to be a fun game regardless. I think both offenses will come out to play, but just with Buffalo will just have too much for us in the end. Okay, before we get on out of it, and I know it means absolutely jack and crap to us because obviously we're nowhere near making the playoffs, but with 2 games left now of the season, and the NFL and the playoff implications are getting very, very, very tasty. So we're just going to give you a little bit of a deep dive. So currently, as it stands in the AFC, obviously the Ravens, they are sitting at the top of the AFC at 12-3. Knocking the snot out of the San Francisco 49ers, making Brock Purdy look like the second coming of Jimmy Garoppolo all over again. So they're sitting at the top there. One more win, and it is against the Dolphins. If they beat the Dolphins, they clinch home field advantage. So that could be huge for them. M&T Bank Stadium is a very, very hard place to go, especially when that crowd gets up. It's a nasty place to go. So Dolphins, they're sitting in second at 11-4. Obviously, they need to beat the Ravens, partly because they could finish off winning the AFC East this weekend, but they could also, to beat the Ravens, they get the tiebreaker. But it just all depends if they move on, how they get on against Buffalo. Kansas City, this team is not looking... This team's looking very fragile, to say the least, especially on offense. It's looking very dodgy, sitting at 9-6. I don't expect them to throw away the AFC West. I really, really don't. They've got to play Cincinnati, which they should get a win there. And then they've got to play... Would say they've got to play the Chargers, wasn't it, in the final week of the regular season?
Yes.
They do. So, yeah, I don't see Kansas City blowing it. So I think they've got the AFC West covered, I personally think. What's not been covered by the AFC South, however, is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're now sitting at 8-7 and starting to look very, very ropey. But to give the Jags a little bit more crumb of comfort here, they own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Colts and the Texans in the AFC South. And just to let you know, the Colts are sitting at 8-7 and the Texans are sitting at 8-7. However, for the Texans, CJ Stroud is out of concussion protocol now. And I think that could be massive going forward. The AFC South is going to be a fight to the end.
The Jags are on a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah, I know. That's what.
They've got to get themselves out of that funk and quickly, because they were on 4 games ago. They were on for possibly they were fighting with the Ravens and the Dolphins for possibly number 1. You know, they had the division absolutely sewn up, and and they've just, something's gone dramatically wrong there, and they're on a 4-game losing streak, and it's not like they're on a 4-game losing streak and they've played the best teams and think. They have been playing some bad teams and still managed to not get a win. Whatever is wrong at the Jags right now, they need to seriously get out of that funk, because they risk losing it all.
They're not utilising their running game with Travis Etienne. Trevor Lawrence is banged up. How well he's going to, if he plays this week, how well he's going to be, I don't know. Luke's just put the Texans play the Titans and then the Colts in week 18. This is why I say anybody who sleeps on Houston, good luck, because this team is actually Demario Ryan, whatever he's done since coming over from the 49ers to DC, gone to Houston, a real toxic environment after what had happened with the Deshaun Watson saga. They're playing a brilliant brand of football, good, strong defense, and CJ Stroud. We all thought that Bryce Young would be the better quarterback because obviously he came out of Alabama. CJ Stroud came out of Ohio State, and we all know historically Ohio State quarterbacks don't fare that well in the NFL. CJ Stroud has been unbelievable this season, and the more I watch him, the more I watch this Houston team play. I thought, you know what? Whoever faces this team, either on wildcard weekend or in the divisional round, good luck. This team are going to be very, very hard to compete and beat by. And I predicted the Jags to win the AFC South at the start of the season anyway. But would it surprise me if Houston came knocking and knocked them off their perch? Nope. Not with the way they're playing. Not with the way they're playing. So
I would say that before the season started, I was on a podcast with Luke, and he asked me who was my most improved team from last year to this year. And everyone that was on that podcast, I stuck my neck out, and I was the only one that said the Texans. And Luke said to me, the Texans, they only won 3 games last year. And I said, that means they only need to win a few to be better. But they have absolutely smashed it. So I don't care about that. I was right about that, and that's good enough for me. They have been something special this year. They've blown everybody away to how well they have been proved. There's a few teams, some maybe not necessarily making the playoffs, but there's been those sort of like handful of teams that have shown great progress. I mean, you know, the Texans. I think the Jags, to a point, they were, until they hit this funk, they were showing some levels. You know, I thought the Dolphins have been consistent all year. That I didn't expect that from them. So, you know, the AFC is a battleground at the moment. There's so many competitive teams that how the San Francisco 49ers are not walking the NFC is beyond me. They seem to keep losing when they have a perfect chance to win, and then they go and, you know, rely on Brock Purdy or whatever his name is.
Purdy.
I realize it's Purdy. I was just taking the piss. So, but yeah, I just think the way the AFC is and the way it's structured, in that it's big team after big team fighting against another. It's one of these where the team that gets to the Super Bowl from the AFC is either going to be so gassed from fighting all the way tooth and nail to get there that the NFC team just walk it, or it's going to be a beast that's just going to run through the AFC like an unstoppable train. And I kind of hope it's the latter.
So let's look at the wild cards. So currently it stands on now, the Cleveland Browns sitting at 10-5 with Joe Flacco as their quarterback. I mean, talk about if we quantum leap back to 2012 or something. I mean, Jesus. Flacco's been playing really, really well. This Browns defense, I've been so impressed with. Myles Garrett is just an absolute monster. You know, absolute brilliant stuff. I think Browns, they're sitting at 10-5 right now. I think they haven't sewn up their wild card spot just yet. I could be wrong, but I think one more win this week, and I think they not only sewn up their wild card, I actually think they might have sewn up the fifth seed. If they do, they'll play the winner of the AFC South. And I tell you what, if that's Houston Cleveland, that's going to be an old-fashioned style of football game as well. But it will be at Houston, not at Cleveland for that matter. What's Luke put? I wouldn't rule out the Rams causing upset in the NFC. We're getting to the NFC in a bit, Luke. So sitting right now in the 6th seed is the Bills. They're sitting at 9-6 right now. They still have an opportunity to win the division, but they're going to need to win outright, and they're going to need help along the way. So as we've already stated, the Bills beat New England. They need Baltimore to beat the Dolphins, and then the Bills will face Miami in an all the marble situation where they win the AFC East. So it's a possibility there. And then sitting in the 7th seed right now is the Indianapolis Colts. Steichen, the new de facto head coach for the Colts, has really rallied this team up. They're sitting at 8-7 right now. They do own tiebreak. However, this is a good thing for the Colts. They own the tiebreakers over the Steelers, Bengals, and the Texans currently. Obviously, they will have to play Houston in week 18. So if Houston win that, then that becomes an offset fixture. Outside looking in, I personally think anyone that's sitting at 8 and 7, I generally think they still have a chance of nicking a wild card. I think anyone that's sitting at 7 and 8 right now, I think it's a long shot, but you're going to need a lot of dominoes to fall in your favor. So as it currently stands, the Texans, the Steelers, the Bengals, all sitting at 8 and 7. Now, in the Bengals, though, I've got a bit of a rough schedule ahead of them because they've got to play Kansas City. That ain't going to be an easy game. And they've got to play Cleveland as well. And Cleveland, if the Browns win and the Bills somehow lose to the Patriots, I don't think they will, but if they did, and the Browns sewn up the that first wild card spot, and then they could just say to Cincinnati, okay, we'll put our reserves out, and you can probably take the dub over us or whatnot. Steelers own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Bengals. This Steelers team is just weird. They do this every single year. They can't beat Arizona. They couldn't beat New England, but yet they managed to beat up Cincinnati and actually play one of the most productive performances on offense I've seen in God knows how many years. Their next two games, Steelers, they're both on the road. They're on the road to the Seahawks and then are on the road to Baltimore. If Baltimore don't beat Miami next week, Baltimore have to beat the Steelers to end up with home field advantage. And obviously, the Dolphins need to lose to the Bills. And so there's a lot of implications going on here. The Raiders, despite the fact how much they've come on with Antonio Pierce, has done so well for them. They actually embarrassed Kansas City over the weekend. I was watching that game and like, what has this Kansas City team done? So the Raiders, they're still alive in the playoff race, but I don't think they will. And the Broncos, they're also sitting at 7 and 8, and but the loss to the Patriots just about stamped out any playoff hopes. Which, you can thank us for that. Sorry, Denver Broncos UK. So as currently stands, so the Ravens are going to win the division. Chiefs are going to win their division, and you would probably say the Dolphins win the division. So the question I'll ask you, Nick, is this: who takes the AFC South, and who ends up in the 3 wildcard spots?
I want to say the Jags take the AFC South. I'll stick with the Jags. If they can get out their funk, I think they'll do it. Jags to take the South, and I think the Colts, the Texans, and the Bengals are the 3. Sorry, you asked me the wild cards, didn't you? The Browns, the Bills, and then the Colts or the Texans. I quite fancy the Texans, to be honest. So I think the Browns will take 5, Bills will take 6, and I think the Texans will sneak in 7. It's one of those. I mean, if you were asking me with a week to go, it'd be very different, I think, because I'd know whether the Miami, because if Miami lose their 2 and then the Bills win the division and jump up, and the Dolphins are, can I not have this question next week? I'll stick with my first one. Jags in 4, and then Browns, Bills, and Texans would be my 3 wild cards.
I'm going to go against the grain on you here, and I'm probably going to think Houston are going to pinch it off Jacksonville. I just think the way they're performing, the way their defense has been performing, I think they might just steal it off the Jags. And with that being said, I will have the Browns with a wild card. I have the Bills with a wild card. And I don't want the Steelers to go in because they're just going to be in for the sake of being in it. But I'm probably going to end up giving the Jags the final wild card, but it will be by the skin of their teeth. And it will take a humongous collapse from the Steelers against the Seahawks and the Ravens in order to do that.
Do you think Mike Tomlin is head coach of the Steelers next year?
He should have been fired. He should have been fired in 2018. My own honest, humble opinion. I think if he gets them over 500, they stay. I think if he goes under 500, I think they will part ways.
I don't think they'll sack him, but I reckon he's willing to walk away at the end of this year.
I think it'd be a good one for the Chargers, possibly.
No, Bill's
he might be
that job.
Huh? You
Bill's
know that.
job.
You don't know that. You don't know that though.
Oh, I've got
okay.
a private line with Bill. Did you not know? He's told me already.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to the NFC because this is a lot more. This is not straightforward. Okay. So sitting at the top right now are the 49ers. Even though they had their loss to Baltimore over the weekend, they clinched the NFC West. And they have the conference record tiebreaker over the Eagles and the Lions. They obviously have the win over the Eagles as well, so there's your tiebreaker there. The Eagles, they're sitting second on the same record at 11-4. They've clinched a playoff berth, and they have the strength of victory tiebreaker over the Lions. So, there's that there. The Lions, I can't believe how well this team has done. I thought the Lions would push for the division, probably miss out and get a wild card, but they have been a relentless force. Defensively, they worry me because I don't think defensively they're not that great, not that good, but offensively they are a powerhouse. They're sitting at 11-4, and then you've got to go all the way 3 losses back to the NFC South, which is the worst division for the second year running in the NFL. The Buccaneers are sitting at 8-7. It's there for the taking. It really is as it currently stands. In the wildcard spots, you got the Dallas Cowboys. They're at 10-5. They've clinched a playoff berth, so they really have nothing to play for now. They really don't. No, they're not going to get overtaken. The Rams, they're sitting with the 6th seed right now. They own the head-to-head tiebreaker over the Seahawks currently. This Rams team have come on very, very strong to the back end of the season. They've been performing really, really well. This Puka Nacua guy, who was basically stepped in for when Cooper Kupp had that long-term injury at the start of the season, absolutely fantastic. Great little pickup that the Rams got there. They're sitting good. And the Seahawks right now, they're sitting at 8-7. 2 winnable games remaining on the schedule. Obviously, one of them is obviously against the Steelers. And I'm not sure who the other team is against. Is it against Arizona? Is it Arizona or the Rams? They play a division team. I can't remember who it is now. On the outside looking in, there's a lot to go through. So the Vikings sit at 7-8, but they own the tiebreaker over the Falcons and the Packers. The Falcons sit at 7-8. The Packers sit at 7-8 as well. The Saints are all sitting at 7-8, but they are clinging on to playoff hopes, and this team is just very, very boring to watch. Bears sit at 6-9. They ain't getting in. I think, as it currently stands, from Vikings, Falcons, Packers, and Saints all still have a chance here. But I just feel like the Saints, I think they're hanging on for dear life. The Packers, one more loss, I think they're done. The Falcons, I think one more loss and they're done. And then you got the Vikings. Just to let you know, guys, the Sunday night game this coming weekend is Packers at Vikings. Whoever wins probably keeps their playoff hopes alive. Whoever loses, bye-bye, you're out. So, Luke's just put Cardinals. Yeah, in week 18, Rams play 49ers in week 18. Oh, my word. That really does put the cat amongst the pigeons then. So, 49ers are going to win the division anyway. Lions have won the division anyway. The Buccaneers are still in with it. Eagles, Eagles, they play Arizona, and then they've got the Giants. You would expect them to clean house with that. So do you currently think the way the division leaders are at the minute, they'll stay as they are? Obviously, the 49ers and the Lions were, but do you reckon the Eagles and the Bucks will still be the same come wildcard weekend?
I think the playoff picture in the NFC does not change at all. I think the teams that are in place now are exactly the teams that stay in their positions. The only thing I probably would say is maybe I don't know whether the Cowboys can catch the Eagles. 1 game back, 2 to go. It's it's tight. That might be the only change, but I think it will finish exactly how it is.
Yeah, finish how it's like. Yeah, I think Eagles win the division. This ain't going to fare well for the Cowboys then, because at home they're a dominant force. On the road, they're 3-5 on the season. That's not a good away record. If they're on the road, they struggle. So they currently stand right now.
If they go to the Bucks, excuse me. If they end up going to the Bucks and they can win 1 game, then that puts them at home. That would put them at home in the division, would it?
That will only depend if the Eagles and the Lions win their home games.
So,
which basically means the Cowboys will face the 40. Which means if that for prime example, 49ers obviously get home field advantage. If the Eagles win their respective wild card and the Lions win their respective wild card and the Cowboys beat the Bucks, it basically means the Cowboys will have to go to Levi Stadium to face the 49ers and the Lions travel to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles. Right, and Luke's given us false and Luke's given us false optimism already by saying I can see Bucks bearing the Cowboy beating the Cowboys. I like that term phrase actually. So yeah, wild cards. So Cowboys sit 10-5, they're in already. So it'll be Rams, Seahawks in at 8-7, Vikings 7-8. What is the Vikings' strength of schedule left? Because obviously they play the Packers. Whoever wins out of them and the Packers, they go to week 18 with one last chance. Vikings play Lions again.
Don't the Vikings play the Lions on week 18? I think that's the last, because that was the first Lions game the other week. I'm sure they play the Lions again.
Let me just check out, see who they got remaining. Yeah, you're right. So they have a home game against the Packers, and then it's on a road game against the Lions. But here's the thing. The Lions have won the division anyway. They got nothing else. I mean, they technically still have the number 1 seed to fight for because they're sitting all on the same. But I don't see the Eagles dropping any games. The 49ers schedule, I don't see them dropping games. Let me just have a look and see who the 49ers schedule is. So they're on the road to the Commanders, and then they're at home to
this week.
So best case scenario for. So yeah, maybe best case scenario for the Lions, they might get the number 2 seed. So yeah, they've really got nothing to play for. So Vikings have got it all to do, but they've got Nick Mullins at quarterback. I mean, every cloud and all, but yeah, I think it's all going to stay the same as it is in the NFC. I really, really do. So, going to be interesting. Right, we are going to get on out of here. We've had a fantastic show. Nick, thank you so much for joining as always. Thank you to everyone that's been watching. Thank you to everyone that's been listening on the podcast on Spotify. Please make sure you follow us there. Make sure you smash the like button. You hit the subscribe button for subscribing to us on YouTube. Make sure that you follow us on all our social media platforms down below. So obviously through Twitter and through X and through Facebook as well. And you can follow us on our podcast on Spotify as well. We have put on once a week, either on a Tuesday or Wednesday. And we have our preview and review of our games in at episode each and every week. We're getting on out of here. It's been, again, another mixed emotion sort of game. We got a win. It was a Christmas miracle. Unfortunately, Krampus took away our top 3 pick in the draft. Sayonara, people. Go Patriots.